Welcome to the Campfire Guide to Parenting. I'm Mike McDonell, founder and CEO of KidVenture. And for over 32 years, I've had the privilege of helping kids and families grow, learn, and thrive. This is your guide to raising kids with courage, creativity, and real-world connection.
Hey, everybody. Zack Mattos here, financial advisor for 21 years. I'm trying to raise 3 entrepreneurial kids in today's wacky world.
I love learning a little bit about you, and I'm looking forward to more of that. What really fascinates me is how our kids today learn about and understand money. One of the things, Zach, that's really interesting to me is how kids first discover money. I think my first experience with money was probably getting a birthday card and some aunt or uncle, right, would throw a $1 bill or a $5 bill in there. What about yourself?
My experience is the same. You would get kind of in trouble for opening the card and discarding it and not even reading because there was no money in it and looking for the next one on the birthdays. But nowadays, their kids' first experience with money is like wanting to know how this can be used for their benefit. It's almost innate. It doesn't need to be explained much. And that's kind of intrinsic. This is something that I have that I can exchange for something that I want, and they want more of it. And so my kids, when they started accumulating a good amount, $100+ at a very young age, it's like, okay, the first thing is let's find somewhere to store this stuff. Where are we going to put it? And that also helps with like building their identity, right? When they have a thing that's theirs with money that they can use, a wallet or whatever you create, they have something that's theirs and they feel that, and it starts building confidence.
I think it's even more challenging today, right? And here's why I say that. We live in almost a cashless society, right? So when I was a kid, I had a piggy bank, right? I think like a lot of kids, and we always had coins and we always had dollar bills or whatever. That's kind of rare now, you know?
Right.
And so the tangible opportunity to sort of teach kids about money,
it's hard.
I don't think is present as much today.
And you ride the line of, do I want to open a bank account in their name, put it in there, and then show them how to log in and look at their account online when they're 6 years old? Is that getting them too far away from that 1980, 1990 way of storing cash? But there's also a lot of benefits to that, where you can also then link that bank account to a brokerage account and say, this institution is going to credit you 0.01% on the dollars that you have on deposit, or this institution, you can invest it and watch your money grow or go down in bad markets, whatever. You can start that education process really early on, but it does have to be, you have to commit to going online.
And I guess maybe now our 7-year-olds can open a Bitcoin account, right?
Coinbase. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a whole new thing. It's a whole new thing. And you got to ride the line of whatever you're comfortable with. You know, I mean, as far as bank accounts and logging in using mom or dad's computer, that's fine until a certain age. And then they get their own, these days for school, I mean, their computers are in everybody's classroom at a very young age now.
Right. Yeah.
So
one of the topics, Zach, that it's sort of heavy on my mind right now, when I'm raising kids, I've got 4 kids, right? And mine are probably a little bit older than yours, but one of them is younger at 12, is the idea of allowance and chores, right? And when I look back when I was a kid, I don't really think my dad gave me a regular allowance or my mom gave me a regular allowance as a kid. I do know that there were specific jobs, if sort of out of the ordinary, outside of making my bed or doing those kind of things like that. They would pay me a little bit of money to do certain things. And I think that was important. That stuck with me, right? What's your take, with your family, your kids, on the idea of allowance and chores, and how do you guys parse that in your family?
I mean, to give some money for making their bed or washing their dish and putting it into the dishwasher, I think is not teaching them. It's like they got to earn their keep to stay. You live in this house. We mess it up together. We clean it up together. Those are things that are expected of you. You're not going to get paid for that. But there's certainly, every one of us adults has projects that we actually put off because we have so much other stuff to do. But when we get time, we're going to do this, that getting them done would really help us. That's when we pay. Like I have a help wanted sign magneted to the refrigerator, and I always have my projects that I need legitimate help with on there. And based on the job, it's $1 per hour. And the kids can walk by and choose, like, Dad, I'm going to go do that for you. Like, for instance, I just pulled out like 4 big cedar trees, and they need to be chainsawed and the logs need to be stacked. Now that's like, I call that $15 an hour work. They're going to come in itchy and sweaty, and that's a job, and you get paid for that.
You actually live on some acreage, right? You've got, 100 or so chickens and some pigs. I don't think you guys are short on chores.
No.
on the farm, right?
That's why if people are like, oh, I don't know what I can do, I'm like, go look at the fridge. There's 3 pieces of paper magneted right now because there's so many things you can do. So if you want to earn money, you can do it. But the things like, just dishwasher, making bed, cleaning your room, they're all doing their own laundry.
And I like that. I think you bring up a great point. I don't think we, in my opinion, should be paying our kids for doing the very basics, right? Living under the roof, making their bed, doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I think, because I think if you start paying your kids for everything that they're doing, being a part of a family and participating in that family unit, I think you're setting them up for expectations that are completely unreal for their adult life too as well.
Exactly. It's the financial version of a participation trophy. Yay, you made your bed. Here's $5. Then they're going to go out and expect to be compensated for things that are just required to survive.
There you go. Yeah, I don't think I could agree anymore. All right. I'm an entrepreneur, right? I started a company 32 years ago. There's something about that, creating something and creating wealth and building something, that's always fascinated me, right? But I have to believe that that happens when you're a kid, right? And so I look back on my life, right? And any hustles that I tried to have when I was a kid. I mowed lawns, right? So when I was 12 years old, my dad had a lawnmower, and I said, Dad, I kind of want to mow yards in the neighborhood. He said, fine. You pay for the gas, you rent the lawnmower out for me for
Yeah.
like $1 or so, and then get after it, right? And if the lawnmower breaks, then you got to get it fixed. And I cannot tell you the lessons I mean, other than, whatever at that time, 10 or 15 bucks a yard gave me, man, that was incredible independence and freedom. But I guess what I really didn't realize at the time, it was teaching me business acumen.
Yep.
And I guess what I'd love to dive into with you, Zach, is that little CEO thing, the side hustle as a kid, how important it is. And can we foster being an entrepreneur as a kid? Is that something you just have or you don't have? Share that with me.
I think everyone's got it in them. I think that is the lifeblood of survival, is whether you choose to go get a W-2 job and not be an entrepreneur, and just the drive to go do something. And I'm the same as you. I don't know if my mom still has it, but when I was a kid, she would give me 20 pieces of printer paper from the 1980s printer that we had. And I wrote, here's all the things I can do for you. I can pull weeds, and I spelled pull, P-O-L-L. I can pull weeds. That's how young I was. I didn't know how to spell pull. And I would fold them up and go just put them in everyone's mailbox with the house phone number. And then the phone would ring. Is Zach there? And it'd be like, oh my gosh, this person wants to come have you pull weeds. And there's nothing like that feeling. And I think it begets more of that feeling. And you get kind of addicted to your success there. And the earlier, the better. I don't care how when you can't even spell, go try to. And then it was on to like washing cars for the neighbors. Just have them park it in the driveway, and I come by and wash it. And I remember having the best technique. It was Windex with a folded up piece of newspaper to get it. So there was literally no, it was like the best. I was the guy.
No streaks, man. No streaks at all.
You put your head through it thinking the window was down.
Yeah. And I think there's so much opportunity. I don't think a lot of kids, everybody hires the lawn service, right? And everybody has something done for them by a third party vendor in their neighborhood now, which is why I think the opportunity for entrepreneurship for a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old is so wide open, right? I was at a business conference this week in Chicago. One of the keynote speakers talked about exactly this topic. He and his son got together. He had the foresight to try to help him create a little business. I think the kid's probably like 7 or 8 years old, right? And the kid came up with this most brilliant idea. He said, Dad, what if we put people's trash to the curb when they're on vacation, right?
Beautiful.
And so he did, mailbox to mailbox, create a little business card, said, I'll put your trash can at the curb when you're on vacation for $5. If you got a recycling can, there's 2. I'll charge another $1 extra for the second can because I'm already there. And the dude has a business now, right?
That's incredible. That's incredible, because you don't want to leave it out and everyone knows you're out of town. That's a real problem he's solving.
No, exactly. Everybody's vacationing, right? Especially in the summertime. What a great gig for a 7 or 8 year old kid, right?
This is a good one. Before we started homeschooling them, we had them at Acton for 3 years. You're allowed to go buy a Costco-sized box of variety chocolates, Snickers bars. I'm going to bring them to school and say, does anyone want to buy these? So my son came up with there's no one there to say, hey, you can't do that.
It's funny you say that, like at camp. So we've been running overnight camps for about 32 years. You'll have these kids. There's always one kid that comes to overnight camp that will pack his suitcase full of like candy bars and candy. And he's got a little sort of like black market candy station going on in the cabin, right?
Yes.
And usually, and he's usually really good about it, right? This kid knows he's got a market because there's no candy within 200 miles, right?
This was crazy. It's the first box. He sold out on the first day, and he ate 4 on his own. And me and Katie sat him down. We're like, you cannot eat 4 full-size Snickers in a day. You're going to I don't know how you're not sick right now. But he made a profit. He's like, well, I bought the box at Costco for X and I sold it for X plus whatever, even though I ate 4. So then he gets the next box. He goes to school and he's selling out like crazy, and he's pricing them right at what they would be in the 7-Eleven down the street if you went. And some people
Sure.
were giving him flack like, this is so
Yeah.
expensive for one candy bar. He's like, it's the same as it is over there. I'm just getting Costco prices. But there were people that came to him because of how high the demand was and were like, can we work for you? I swear to God, at school, can we take like half the box and go sell it, and then we get a little bit of the profit? And he said, let's do it. And he had like 3 people.
Heck yeah.
But one of them was going on IOUs, and she never collected from the people, and he was losing money, and she had to go. It was a whole thing, but it's just, I think the younger the better.
That's amazing.
Really funny. He was making money selling candy bars.
Well, and there's one more point I want to throw in there, and you made me think of something too, and it's that if we're going to help raise kids that are fired up, that want to have business ideas, we want to foster that entrepreneurship, I think it's super important not to impose that on them. Don't come up with the idea for what they should do.
Yeah.
They need to be a part of that process from the inception. They need to feel like they created it. Look, even if it sounds completely whack, right? I think a kid is way more, and this goes way beyond just, having a job, right? Yeah. Allowing our kids the opportunity to create that just empowers them, gives them ownership far more than if we say, okay, here's the deal. I got a job for you to do. You're going to go down the street. You're going to mow some yards. You're going to charge, $10. It's going to be good, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't fire them up.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And even the downsides, like there was a kid that's a great learning experience. You have to watch them suffer and fail hard and not try to pick on, like let them pick themselves up, like stay out of it. Don't try to solve their problem for them. It's really hard because you love them so much. But this one good example, this one kid, Luke let him take 2. He's like, I'll pay you tomorrow. I'll pay you tomorrow. He let him take 2 candy bars. And then on the 3rd day, he's like, can I get another one? I'll pay you. He said no. And then the kid never paid him. So there was a soccer game. After the soccer game, goes up to the mom of the kid and goes, hey, your son owes me $6. And he keeps telling me he's going to pay me every day. And then the kid comes running up and he's like, you don't need to talk to my mom about that. That's between me and you. And he goes, yeah, well, you're not paying me. So, and it's like, what a life experience though, to go into the belly of the beast and just confront this kid's mom. Like, hey, your son's lying and he stole my candy bars, basically.
We need an accounts receivable department for this kid, right?
Yeah, at that point he was like 11, I think, 10 years old. I don't know how old.
That's crazy, man.
Great life lessons.
Parents listening right now, who might want to get their kids involved in having a little business and teaching the kind of things that we're talking about here today. Maybe do something together, right? Kids today are shy, right? You know what I mean? And it's like my kid the other day who hit the ball across the fence, I go over there and knock on their door and, it's not like it used to be. Kids are there's more anxiety, there's more fear in going to the neighbor's house. Find a business that you can do together. Lemonade stand, sit down with your kid, sell lemonade. Once they start to get a little bit of money and see the fruits of that labor, I think it's much easier for them to spark that interest in having some kind of a business for themselves, or learn about money more, right? I mean, that would be my advice. Anything to add to that, Zach?
I would just say that there's folks, I don't know in my life any adult my age or older, or just anyone in my generation that wouldn't see something like that, like an entrepreneurial kid going out there trying to make money, that wouldn't be just fired up and support that. Because like you said, Mike, it's so rare. It's like it used to be rampant. That's how kids grew up. You got to go, I remember getting locked out by our babysitter. Just go play outside like all day and just figure it out. And it's not like that anymore. So when we see a kid trying to hustle, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to reward you. And that's the opportunity for these kids today to get them involved. Sure. And I also think teaching them about how the world is, like for us, it's kind of easy because we have all these animals and you see like a chicken hatch out of an egg and they walk around with their mom for like 1, maybe 2 weeks max. And then the mom's out. The mom's back up roosting in the trees. And the baby's like, where'd you go? Oh my gosh, for the first 2 days. And then they just figure life out themselves. And it's like, so telling the kids, like, when you leave here for rent, cell phone, everything you're going to need, here's how much it's going to cost just to literally survive, and getting them to think, well, shoot, maybe money is pretty darn important early on. And that'll add some fuel to the fire.
Property like you have with chickens and pigs there, you have a great opportunity to do that. I think you're probably the embodiment of the term free range kids now.
Free range kids. Yeah, they're cracking out of the egg. Yeah, that's right. Free ranging.
It's difficult today, right? Our kids have so much distractions. I mean, let's just take social media, and screen time as one example. Going out and getting a lawn mowing job is going to compete with sitting on TikTok. I mean, for most kids, you can probably guess which one of those endeavors they're going to want to embed themselves in. That's why I believe as a parent, we've got to see ahead, right? We've got to look down the road. And if looking down the road means restricting that screen time, putting that phone down, getting involved with your kid, going out of the neighborhood, knocking on a door and trying to figure out a way for that kid to become a little entrepreneur. That's what you got to do as a parent. Will they like it at first? Yeah, probably not. You know what I mean? But not trying is not an option, right? I think we've got to, as parents, with much excitement, with enthusiasm, right? Get them involved and get them off their screens, because they're going to leave the house, right? And they're going to enter the world, and the world requires a certain skill set to be successful. If we don't teach that skill set when they're young and they're in the house, no one's going to teach them that skill set outside of it.
Mike, I would love something that we could maybe have some back and forth and disagreement on, but this one is, what's our number one job as a parent? Protect and provide. That's it. Like, if someone messes with your kids, do everything you can to destroy that risk. What bigger thing do we have to protect them from than a supercomputer sucking their life away?
Right.
Literally, it's not like there are people, and more by the day in this society we live in, that live their life on social media like it's real life. If you add up hours a day for young kids, it's an insane amount of time spent on these social websites. Like you said, they're going to lose a lawnmowing job to scrolling. It's just entertainment. It's just like if we were able to bring a Game Boy to our classroom when we were kids and play Tetris or Dr. Mario. We have to protect them from that. And our job, I believe, my kids are 15, they're 13, almost 14, 15, 14, and 11. Before they get to the age where you even want to extend the phone to them, which is younger and younger nowadays, explain to them exactly what it is and how it can benefit your life. Okay, so like if you wanted social media, that's great for promoting a business. That is great for promoting something that's going to serve you, but that's how it helps you. How it hurts you is sucking you into having no satisfaction in anything but getting short clips. There's so much dopamine release that it's scientific how they do this. The dopamine is the quickest hit. Kids these days I had someone it was a parent telling me, like, how do you guys, we can't even watch movies with our kids anymore because they're not like 13-second shorts. They can't even hang in there for a movie.
Yeah,
and I'm
and I know it seems impossible for some parents, but let me give you a good example, okay? And I'm going to go back to camp. So every year we send all these kids off to overnight summer camp. And one of the things we don't allow them to bring is their phone, especially for our older campers, right? I mean, it's like, holy cow, I'm not going to have my phone for like 9 days. And I guarantee most of them are probably freaking out on the bus ride up to camp without their phone. But I promise you, within 24 hours, 48 hours, they don't want their phone, because they've realized that the real connections and the real friendships don't happen behind the screen. They happen in real life with other people in the outdoors, right? And I think we fear, right, as parents, that taking away that is going to cause so much chaos and pandemonium. And really what it does is, real quickly, those kids realize the value of not being behind that screen. And look, they don't mind it. You know?
And I think tactically, so they're one of the answers there. What can you do for someone that's not fully motivated? Is send them to a camp where they can't bring their phones and make them realize for the first time in their life, oh my gosh, I have fun without this thing. And then not even that, but have a little disdain for it. Like, I can't believe that thing robbed so many hours from me.
Right.
But the other thing is, before they get to the point where they've become addicted to it, start taking them to meals and having conversations about it way before that point. Like, you don't sit at the dinner table with an iPad and headphones. Like, have a conversation about, like, this is, order your own food from the menu, talk to the server, you get the bill, figure out the tip, just be social, be human at every chance possible, and not like, okay, we're here, we don't need to hear you, like, just watch your show, just be quiet, I'm gonna get a cocktail. And
sure,
it's a mindset shift that the parents have to make to get their kids on.
Well, it's an intentional shift. If we want to create happy, healthy, independent adults, we have to raise happy, healthy, independent kids. They're not going to learn that on their own, right? But we have to be intentional about that. And you gave a great example, right? I mean, forget going down the street and getting a lawn mowing job. Just being able to order for yourself, look somebody in the eye, teach your kid how to shake somebody's hand. Those are skills that go just beyond the courtesies and the niceties of life, right? That's going to give them what they need most in life today, and that's a sense of confidence.
I can't tell you how many restaurant servers like, I can't believe your kids ordered. That was incredible. And it's like, what? That's a problem.
While we're talking about money here, right? And we're trying to get kids interested and fired up about money, right? Because it's a life lesson. I think it's also important to teach our kids benevolence, right? And charity too, along that way. It's one of the things that we've my wife and I have really tried to instill in our kids is giving back, right? It's one thing to get that money. It's another thing to utilize that money to help other people too as well. And teaching that again, also, I think starts at a younger age.
Yeah. And teaching them that all money is whatever your craft is, you exchange your time to get some money. So if you don't have the money to donate, you can go and give your time, and like
Sure.
that's super rewarding. Young kids are so receptive to vibes, I would say. So if they go to, like, we helped park cars at a horseback riding event for disabled kids. Apparently there's a ton of therapeutic things for people with disabilities riding horses, and doing that for 8 hours a day with my son a couple of weeks ago was like, he was in the car like, we got to do that more often. And I'm
Yeah,
like, wow, there's only one of those events a year, but you know what I mean? They,
for sure.
it just goes off, and it's
I
rewarding.
think all kids, and I've learned this over 32 years running camp, all kids want to be part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
We just have to give them the opportunities and find that. It's extremely rare that our kids, my personal kids, when we go and do or volunteer somewhere, we run summer camps for kids who are experiencing homelessness and they're a part of that. They walk away feeling so good about what they did, right? And I think it's
Right.
important. But once again, we've got to find these opportunities and teach that to our kids at a young age, right?
Yeah. And then to take it a little further, teaching them about like precisely strategies you can implement with your money to set yourself up for later or to be more charitable later. I just, from my background, I don't know that I would do this as a parent if I wasn't a financial advisor from right after getting my undergrad until age 43. But like every kid has learned about Einstein at a pretty young age, and he's literally quoted saying that compounding interest is the most powerful force in the universe. And when you say that to a kid, they're like, well, what? Well, Einstein said that? Like they might not know what E equals MC squared is
Right.
and how to articulate that to you, but they are very interested in what that is and why someone like that would say that. And then you can, if you have a simple financial calculator, I actually did a little calculation here. I remember as a first year financial advisor, it was showing people who say, oh yeah, I'll get to that when I can. I can't save right now because I just got my job and I'm barely making ends meet, or like, oh, I can't save right now. I just bought a house and I got the mortgage and the property. Oh, I can't save now. I just have my kid. And it's like people will always put off, and the training was, whatever they can, get them to save early. $200 a month getting saved for 40 years. So a 20-year-old saving $200 a month until he's 60 is a total of $96,000 saved. And through whatever you invested in, let's say the assumed rate of return is 8% per year, which is pretty reasonable to assume over a 40-year time horizon. You turn 96,000 of your own money into 1,062,000. So that's $200 a month for 40 years. Let's say the 30-year-old saves till they're 60. They know they got a little bit of a late start, so now they're going to save $500 a month instead of $200 a month, and they're going to save it from age 30 to age 60. So they have 30 years to save $500 a month. They end up putting $180,000 away. The first person saved 96. This person's saving 180. They only accumulate 980,000. So they save double to have less.
Sure.
Now the 40-year-old saving till 60, 20 years of $1,000 a month payments into an investment account. 240,000 is saved, and that only grows to 687. So it's like three different scenarios. The earlier start is rewind it to 10 years old. What if you were 10 and you start? So
my 12-year-old's eyes would go like super big if he saw that big number on the end of that, right?
It's crazy. It's cool when you have a chart too. You're like, look, and it just, you can see it visibly, especially kids. They're like visual learners.
That's great.
And so it just like gets them excited and motivated to start putting money away into things that grow at 8% a year.
Now, my kids are older now, right? And one of them is married, graduated from college. Another is in law school right now, and another is at Texas right now. Even if I'm paying for college for one of my kids, I've always felt like it's better to put that money into their account and let them pay their tuition for themselves. I think when you raise a kid and tuition just happens and box magically show up from Amazon on the front porch, it's almost like things just happen magically, right? And I think we have to help draw a line, even if, we're participating or we're paying for that endeavor, giving that kid the opportunity to actually pay for it, write it out of their bank account, do that, sort of connects the dots, all right? I mean, would you agree with that?
It's the ultimate lesson. When they start spending money, using a debit card and viewing a bank account, we put every dollar into their account. Luckily, we're able to do it tax efficiently because we used to live in Austin, and then we moved to Dripping Springs, but we rented out. We put our Austin home to use as a rental. Yeah. So that business, with the money in that business, we can actually shift income from the rental LLC into kids' accounts tax efficiently for certain services that they render for the business to help us with tenants and whatever they're doing to help us out. But it's really not earned, right? Like back to the chores thing. They didn't really do a big task. It's just like, we're trying to be tax efficient here. But they pay out of their bank account their monthly jujitsu bills. They used to pay their monthly tuition, their braces for 2 of our 3 kids. The monthly payments for that comes out of their account, and they're very aware of money going into and coming out of their account. But like to your point, when they start knowing exactly what they have, and then like one time I was gassing up and my son gets out of the car and goes into the gas station. My wife and I are looking like, where the hell is he going?
Yeah.
And he comes out, he's got like a Snickers bar and a Monster. And I'm going, okay. Like, I don't think I can tell him you can't spend that. It's your money. You need that money, because the money that we give them from the rental property gets zeroed out for expenses I already would have had out of our accounts. But now it's just like a routing to be tax efficient. So they don't get to enjoy that. The money in there that they are spending is truly theirs. And that's going to teach them more than, anything about money is
For sure.
getting low.
They have control over it, right? I mean, and if their bank account runs dry and they want something else, they've got no one else to blame but themselves for all the candy bars and Monsters, right?
It's like, wow, okay, cool, man. I hope that you can buy a car when you're 16. That's our other thing, is like, he's got to buy his own car at 16. And I don't think he's aware of it yet, but we're going to match him whatever he has saved up. So if he's got like 10 grand in his bank account, we'll probably end up ponying up 10 grand.
Right.
Be looking at $20,000 card. But it's like, it's his life. It's not ours. It's not like you will or you won't spend that money. It's their money. If you want to drive it yourself into the ground, go for it, dude. Feel the repercussions of that.
I think one of the biggest mistakes that all parents make, myself included, is just giving your kids and them not knowing where that comes from, right? And I think that's harder today, right? I think that's harder today than ever before and I think we talked about this earlier, right? It wasn't that long ago where we had to go to the grocery store, we had to go to the department store, get what we needed and put it in a cart and pay for it at a cash register. We were at least connecting some kind of effort and monetary exchange to what we take as a family, right? And today boxes magically show up on a porch and you just wake up in the morning and there's cardboard boxes there. And I think that distorts in some way our kids' perspective of how things happen for them, right? So as a parent, we've got to connect the dots for them. We've got to make them work for some things. So there's this connection between the things that we need and want in our life and the effort that goes into obtaining that, right? And for me, that's one of the biggest problems and mistakes I think that parents make, is just providing for their kids and never connecting those dots and never letting their kid be a part of providing for themselves and for the family.
When you look at today's school system in elementary school, when they're the most receptive to concepts, there's not even a basic level of financial education going on, not even balancing a checkbook or what debt is or what a credit card is or what a credit score is. There's nothing. They're going to get nothing. So the biggest mistake parents make is not telling them this stuff early and just spend, like Mike said, spending money. Don't worry. You have all the rest of your life to worry about money when you move out of here. It's like, no, early on conversations. I remember when our kids were little, we had a huge roll of these red tickets, like carnival tickets, in a drawer in our kitchen. And if they did, we had a big chalkboard on the wall too. And there was it was sectioned out, like empty your backpack and clean your lunchbox and make your bed. And there was 6 things that if you did in a day, you can go and mark it and you get a tick or red ticket. And then on the week, and you tie it to something that they like our kids used to love playing Mario Kart. So each ticket is 20 minutes on Mario Kart. So if you had a good day, 5 days, you just got an hour of Mario Kart on Saturday or Sunday, whatever, and you don't even have to ask to play. You can just play it.
They earned it.
They're coming home, they're hanging their backpack up, getting the thing out, moving this little chair over to the sink, washing their, and it's just you have to teach. That's that was currency, that red ticket. That was the first level. But then it's from there on, you got to teach them about it. The same thing with phones. Teach them what that thing is. Teach them what it isn't. It's not life.
Right.
You got to involve them early. That's I think biggest mistake parents are making, is not involving their kids in basic conversations about life and what it is, money.
Well, and it's tough, right? I get it. As families, it just seems like we're so busy. But I think one of the times that we all have as a family, or should have as a family, is this opportunity to sit around a dinner table at night, right?
Yes.
These are the perfect times for conversations around technology, around phone, around finances, around money. For my family, that's been the best thing. And that's sort of that's a deal breaker for us, right? Unless we are out somewhere, we're going to make a point to sit down around a dinner table and we're going to have these discussions.
Right. Because the society is just going to confuse them on all topics. You can add in, I think maybe to solve the problem of not enough conversation and dialogue about life's pertinent issues, is family meetings, like once a week, where you just cover whatever topics are on people's mind.
Right. Great point. And it's tough, right? I get it. As families, it just seems like we're so busy. But I think one of the times that we all have as a family, or should have as a family, is this opportunity to sit around a dinner table at night, right?
Yes.
These are the perfect times for conversations around technology, around phone, around finances, around money. For my family, that's been the best thing. And that's sort of that's a deal breaker for us, right?
Yeah.
Unless we are out somewhere, we're going to make a point to sit down around a dinner table and we're going to have these discussions.
Right. Because the society is just going to confuse them on all topics. You can add in,
Right.
I think maybe to solve the problem of not enough conversation and dialogue about life's pertinent issues is family meetings, like once a week, where you just cover whatever topics are on people's mind.
Right. Great point. Prompt that question for you, Zach. So, Zach, we're kind of coming to an end here on our discussion today, and I want to thank you very much, man. This has been insightful for me, and I hope it's been insightful for our viewers. But one of the things I kind of want to leave people with before we sign off is resources. Is there a book? Is there anything that maybe you can recommend to parents or parents and kids that they could read that might help them down this path of financial intelligence?
Yeah, most certainly. I would unequivocally recommend Rich Dad Poor Dad, written by Robert Kiyosaki. He writes it in a way that it's easy to read. It gives you both sides of the spectrum. He's talking about how his real dad, his biological dad, was you go to school, you get a good education, you graduate, you get a job, and you work until you can't work anymore, and then you retire for the small period of time. And then the other dad was an entrepreneur who was like, I buy businesses, I buy real estate, and I don't trade my time for money. And this is a little kid's perspective on finance, easy to read. They also make a kid version of it. It's Rich Dad, Poor Dad for Kids, I think it's what it's called, if they're really little. And then they make a board game called The Rat Race. And you try to get out of the rat race and become an investor. And it's so fun to play with the kids because they have a little bit. So it's fun for the dad and mom, and the family wants to play it. And then they learn about, real estate, stocks, bonds, bank accounts, everything.
Zach, thank you so much for that and for all your insight today. If someone wants to reach out to you, Zach, and contact you outside of this, how can they do that?
Oh, you just go to my website. It's my first name, lastname.com, and everything's there. Contact info if you ever want to have a conversation.
Matt, I really appreciate your time today. Best of luck with the kids and the chickens and the pigs and life in general as a dad and being part of a family. Love your contribution today and really, really appreciate your time, man.
Likewise, Mike. Really nice meeting you, brother.
Good seeing you. Take care. If you enjoyed this podcast and are interested in learning how to be a better parent, getting advice from experts who have kids, then please subscribe by hitting the button below.